Hello, everybody. My name is Brian Engelman.
And I'm Blake Walley.
Today is Tuesday, April 25th, 2023. Yes, we just did that intro differently. We usually end with who we are, but we're starting with it today. You know why? Because why not? It's another day. It's another strange offering in the headlines, Blake. I mean, we have so many topics to delve into. We'll give you a quick update on where this show is going, some of the topics we're going to discuss today. What is this? Defending the men's right to use women's restrooms. Okay. We're going to get into that story because it's pertinent and it's interesting. Look, Don Lemon, Dan Bongino, and Tucker Carlson, they're all moving on to different locations. What the heck is going on here? Also, just by the way, did you notice that Joe Biden said he wants to run for president again? Could he actually win for the second time? Totally legitimately a second time. And then Fox News, just everything that's going on at Fox. We're watching the implosion of the old media. The old American media has officially went belly up, it seems. So we're going to talk about all sorts of stories coming up. We appreciate you. And thank you for joining us here on the new American media. Thanks. And intro. There we go. It's been moved around. All right, we are back. Blake, good having you with us today. How was your weekend, sir? Anything interesting, newsworthy occur this weekend?
Well, I was on vacation, I guess. Little family get together of sorts out in, as maybe you can recognize behind me, Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, I thought it was Egypt. I thought you were in Egypt because of the pyramid.
Yep. It sure does look like that. Yes, Memphis, Egypt.
Or at least Memphis, Vegas. It looks like the Luxor.
Yeah, that's actually like a Bass Pro Shops hotel out here. But then there's Beale Street down there. Had a little time down there, just some blues music and some good barbecue. So it was a good time. A little Tennessee road trip. But it's nice to be back. So I'm a little drained, but I'll make it. It's great to be here.
Well, thanks for coming back. And we'd like to start our shows just highlighting three major stories, just to kind of keep them at the forefront of your brain and to make sure you're out there seeking updates and trying to cover these stories as well. Any updates on the Restrict Act? No, not really. It's still awful. The other story we always cover, any update on the Biden impeachment? Yeah, here's the update. They're going to try to run him again. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. And then this one, any updates on the Trump indictment, air quote. There is something. Let me grab this story for you. Come on. I'm pressing the button to share the screen. I swear to y'all. We have this. Here you go. Federal judge shoots down Alvin Bragg's bid. Where we go? There we go. Alvin Bragg's attempt to block a former prosecutor in his office from testifying before the House Judiciary Committee about the criminal case against Donald Trump. So the federal judge said no. The committee and its chairman, Representative Jim Jordan from Ohio, had subpoenaed the ex-assistant district attorney, Mark Pomerantz, to give testimony about the district attorney's investigation into Trump. 76. Thanks for his age. That makes no sense in that sentence there. That culminated in the former president's indictment in March. Bragg filed suit against Jordan then and the Judiciary Committee, claiming that the subpoena was an overreach by the GOP-led House and an attempt to influence a state criminal proceeding. But Judge Mary Kay Viscassel found the subpoena was issued with a valid legislative purpose, which it was, and that it was not the role of the federal judiciary to dictate how Congress operates. Yeah, thank you very much. Mr. Pomerantz must appear for the congressional. No one is above the law, Viscassel wrote in an opinion issued after a Manhattan federal court hearing. So I think that's an interesting update, Blake. You've heard that phrase uttered so many times. Nobody's above the law. Nobody's above the law. And it's beautiful when it gets used against them, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. And turnaround's fair play, or turnabout. But yeah, there's these petty little legal battles that they're going, filing lawsuits against each other. And yeah, it's all a big waste of time anyway. So hopefully they'll just dismiss that and focus on more important things. But I'm not going to think that's going to happen with the election around the corner. They're going to keep the pressure on no matter what. And it's just going to be this ongoing saga.
Yep. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on how this all plays out. If there's any justice in the world, you'll see Alvin Bragg get disbarred. You'll see him face his own criminal charges for this nonsensical maneuver. He thought he'd get away with it and there wouldn't be any pushback. I weep. I pray for. I'm so sad for our American cities, Blake. Really cool places. I've definitely spent some time in my life trying to go to different cities and eating different food and going to different sporting events and trying to soak up different culture and just see America. And the way that these cities are being just driven into the ground, it's terrifying. It's like something out of a zombie movie. Looking at all the junkies, the homeless. And when you have somebody like Alvin Bragg wasting resources on nothing burger misdemeanors that had passed a statute of limitations and that had already been reviewed by other parties and passed upon, while he's watching the decay in his own city, something's got to give. Something's got to give. So I think it's important that we keep following those stories, and we'll bring you updates as they arrive. But there's a whole new batch of news, Blake, that we could get into. So let's start right there.
Okay.
Well, it was the shot heard around the world. It was the firing, the / mutually exclusive parting of ways, however you want to read into this story. But Tucker Carlson, who is the undisputed #1 king of, what do you call it? Punditry? Would you just say media, Blake? How important would you say Tucker's role is? Is he just a pundit, a commentator? Is he a force unto his own? How do you grade and rank Tucker Carlson? Because he's now a free agent
Right.
after severing ties with Fox.
Yeah, well, he was far and away the best cable newsman out there. I'd say all of media. I don't care whatever trash they have on a lot of the mainstream networks these days, especially. But Tucker Carlson's come a long way. He used to be just a punchline in the 2000s. Just a little goofball nerd with the bow tie, just like a basic GOP talking points. Used to get run over, kind of reinvented himself, became a force. Actually, terrified the left, became a phenomenal journalist, and just head and shoulders above everybody in the industry right now. Just in the way that he is kind of a balanced reporter and bringing up topics that a lot of people wouldn't even touch. And now he's gone just like that. That was a big surprise over the weekend because I was kind of out of the loop, trying to figure out what's going on, just trying to, enjoy my little vacation, a little time away, a little digital detox. And then, yeah, you hear these bombshells. So Tucker Carlson out at Fox,
So
OMG.
so
But here
what
we are.
is yeah, well, you said OMG, that's like O'Keefe Media Group after he was ousted from Project Veritas. We also have Dan
Yep.
Bongino leaving Fox, and we have uh, Don Lemon leaving CNN. So I mean, a lot of things have shuffled around. I believe Valerie Jarrett has moved on. A lot of pieces have been shuffled across the chessboard. I don't know if this was like the week to shuffle pieces, but it sure is interesting. So you said, you kind of mentioned about Tucker covering stories that other people wouldn't dare touch. Like, what is the Tucker legacy? I mean, I guess we could start with uh, really the only tapes that McCarthy has allowed out. Some of them went to Tucker. Rupert Murdoch seemed very pissed off about that, in my estimation. Is just by the actions of them shutting down any future reporting, it sure seemed like the Fox brass was not too happy that they exposed the Q shaman guy, that whole hoax thing. I mean, essentially a couple days later, he got released. Maybe to some home. He's maybe has to wear an ankle bracelet or something, but certainly out of these conditions, because the story that was presented through the Tucker information from Kevin McCarthy completely contradicted the lies that we were being fed from this J6 air quote kangaroo court, whatever you want to call it. I mean, how impactful do you think Tucker's role was in that, Blake?
Yeah, it's hard to say. People are trying to say, oh, it's this or that, or it's the January 6th, or it's the big pharma stuff, or Nord Stream pipelines. There's a lot of different. Or another one says because he exposed some of the World Economic Forum agenda for people to eat bugs to save against global warming or whatnot. There's a lot of things. He riled up a lot of people. It's kind of like how JFK got shot because he pissed off so many different people, whether the banks or the CIA or the Russian, just everybody and everything. Just doing the right thing and being fearless and standing in his truth. So, but yeah, it's probably for a lot of that. Also, the Dominion lawsuit that they had, also as well as just a lot of his internal texts and things that were released, is letting his feelings known about whether it was Trump or management at Fox or what have you. So, I don't know if it's any one thing, but yeah, January 6th, I'm sure that also played a big role. And the LA Times, in fact, maybe that's what you're referring to, did point that out. That might be the major thing that pushed him over in the eyes of Rupert Murdoch, even though he's like 9,000 years old. It's time for him to step back, but he's still involved in the meddling in the management and what have you. So yeah, too
Jerry
bad.
Jones down at the Cowboys, perhaps. By the way, I'm a big Jerry fan. He tipped me $100 on 2 Jack and Cokes. So how about them Cowboys?
Nice.
No. I just that's the sense that I got. I got the sense that it was the January 6th betrayal of the lies. I knew Fox was rotten to the core when they trotted out Chris Matthews. Am I saying the right Matthews now? I'm conflating both. Who his
Chris
dad?
Matthews? Yeah.
His dad was what?
He was like a respectable journalist a long time ago, Mike Wallace or something. And then Chris Wallace is his son. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying Chris Matthews. It's Chris Wallace. Yeah, that's where I was.
Yeah, Chris Matthews was hardball MSNBC.
He got the tingle up his leg.
Goofball. Yeah.
Yeah. So Chris Wallace, that's the one I'm thinking of in the 2020 debates. Yeah, when they brought Chris Wallace out and he repeated the fine people hoax during the 2020 Biden Trump debate, I knew that Fox was done. Fox had been completely co-opted. They had been infiltrated. They have sold themselves out. They had sold the country out. They were in on the anti-Trump movement, the effort to collude with other media organizations to rig the 2020 election. They colluded together. The Time magazine article where they brag about it is pretty straightforward. They are pretty happy about what they did. And when Chris Wallace, who's supposed to be, if you consider an ABC debate and a CNN debate, an NBC debate, a CBS debate, they're all going to be very hard left. You just what you get. But usually with Fox, it's like, okay, well, here's some of the counterbalance. All right, you got 5 of these major legacy lying legacy. Excuse me, 5 of these major lying legacy media companies. That was a handful to say. But at least Fox, you'll at least get the other side. Okay, so there'll be a defense of some of these basic core principles from this side, whereas you're just getting bombarded from the other side. But when Wallace came out and repeated that fine people hoax, it was such a disappointment, and I really haven't ever watched Fox since. So, I mean, the fact that Tucker lasted this long, it's slightly extraordinary. But I knew something else was going on weird with that Dominion lawsuit. There's a lot of people, Blake, who took a look at this Dominion lawsuit, and they don't understand why anybody settled. They don't understand the settlement. I mean, in that, then Rupert Murdoch was out there in the court of public opinion saying things that was damaging his own party's standing prior to an announcement being made about some sort of resolution. Blake, it defies logic. All of it defies logic. I guess unless you think of the Budweiser thing and how they're connected. Maybe it's just an ESG score. You kind of have to earn your woke brownie points, almost like carbon credits. Like, I can do whatever I want. I can pollute as much as I want as long as I buy these phony baloney carbon credits. And it's almost like Fox turned on Trump. They turned on their base in the 2020 elections. And then they turned on the journalists who were reporting about the 2020 elections. And then they fired their number one talent, Blake. I mean, what is the rationale here? Like, I'm just trying to make sense of all this.
Yeah, well, why not? Yeah, they have to solidify their position here. Yeah, they were all anti-Trump. They're pro-establishment. They always have been. That's why I never really liked Fox. They didn't really even start coming around to me until like maybe 2013 at the earliest. You know, after they, obviously the awful years during the Bush years, and then they tried pushing, Mitt Romney, and then they finally started to come around after they smeared Ron Paul. And then they were reluctant on Trump, but then they came around, so they did some good work there, and they've done a lot of good in those several years. But after the re-election, then it became apparent something was wrong, especially with when they called Arizona, and people knew like the fix was in. And then they have these like infiltrators, and you see Ailes is gone. Yeah, he had some issues, and there was some bad things going on behind the scenes there.
Ailes and O'Reilly.
And yeah, O'Reilly. So they cut some of those with Ailes gone, but then they bring in Paul Ryan. So yeah, you got Mitt Romney's little sidekick VP, who's very corrupt. And so yeah, that's the old guard GOP representing. And they got rid of Lou Dobbs after the 2020 election when he started talking about it. I think Piro's on the chopping block. We got Dan Bongino on the chopping block. A lot of their more, people that weren't afraid to say what they think, they're gone, and they're going to get everybody now to just,
Napolitano is gone. Beck is gone. Or
yeah.
is the judge there occasionally? Does he still jump back for segments? I don't know.
I think he's been out for a while. He's still active, but not on Fox.
I mean, who's left over there? Gutfeld? Is he the only watchable person? Like, what's
and
even
Waters,
left on
Waters?
I mean,
Brett Baer is a decent man, but it's kind of, milk toast, and he's not going to aggressively go after anything. He's not going to bring up the kinds of stories that Tucker would. And, Hannity's good once in a while, but, there's a lot of times where he just kind of falls back in line with the old guard. And I don't like that either. So, yeah, now is a kind of a crisis over there. I'm not really sure what I would be watching for. It used to be good for, Lou Dobbs on Fox Business, or for, Tucker, or, the Gutfeld show's pretty good. But, I mean, are people going to leave Fox News on their TVs all day like they used to? Or are they actually going to rethink that and start looking for alternatives? Tucker was far and away the best. There's no question about it. And somebody
Well,
was open and had every voice on, didn't care, went after the truth like a real journalist is supposed to do. And now you're going to replace them with just people that are going to read the scripts and stay out of trouble, which is what they want. Plus Fox, with Rupert Murdoch, they're all joined at the top anyway. So the fix is in, and now they're going to make it look like they got rid of all the fringe pieces. And now, people got to get back in line with the trusted establishment. They're telling you the truth. Yeah.
they're so toast. They're so toast, man. I could see probably next in line, Waters.
Yeah.
I could probably see him stepping up to fill that role. He seems like a nice company man. He's been there. Remember, he did the man on the street for O'Reilly 10 years ago.
Yeah, I've got him up as an article I've got with like, who are they going to replace? Who's gonna step up to take Tucker's spot? It's gonna be Brian Kilmeade, Waters.
It's not kill me. You know who it could be? They got that sports guy. What's that sports guy in the morning that came over from ESPN? I forgot about him.
Not sure.
Bartiromo,
but she might be gone. And then Gutfeld, but he's already got 2 shows. No one, Hannity and.
Well, remember, everybody was wondering what was going to happen. How were they going to fill the Glenn Beck spot? Like, Glenn Beck dominated at his position, and then they just put 5 people at 5. I'm like, okay, I think that they being Fox, they being Rupert Murdoch, they being Rupert Murdoch's kids, they being the ESG score that they need to raise, they being the controlled opposition, they being the lying legacy media. I think they think that their brand is bigger than the stars attached. I think they think that it could be a bit of a plug and play where they could put anybody in there and it's going to be fine. Like, what did they say in the press release? I believe they said it's going to be a rotating cast, not a cast of characters, but that's how I just said it in my head, but a rotating cast of talent to come in and anchor the 8:00 news or something like that, however they framed it. But okay, fine. I haven't been watching Fox for several years now. I don't really give a shit. That being said, where do you think Tucker, put yourself in Tucker's position? You like to fly fish. You're kind of private. You do your shows out of your home, right? I think he broadcasts from his home studio. He's the number 1 name out there. Imagine you're Tucker Carlson, Blake. What would you do? You feel there's anything you need to do? Do you feel like there's any sort of payback or you need to prove anything to anyone? Like, do you feel like there's a passion that he would have an energy for and might want to try? Or just if we're guessing here, what would you do if you were Tucker Carlson? How would you survey the landscape, and what do you think you would do?
Well, I think if I was him, I'd probably take at least a month off, maybe a couple, and then start to think about it. Meet with all of your your most trusted comrades and get their feedback and see what you want to do. I think Glenn Beck has already, extended, hey, you can come be on my network. You can talk to O'Reilly, that he can be very successful.
I think Tim Pool has, I think Steven Crowder has, I think Ben Shapiro has, I think anybody who's anybody has raised their hand. Patrick Bet-David. I think they've all raised their hand and said, yep, come on over. Like, that's what I'm saying. I think the world is open to Tucker. He can literally choose anything he wants.
Yeah, he'd have plenty of options, or he could do some other solo adventure. He's got plenty of the audience for that. Or maybe, I don't know if he's affiliated with the Daily Caller anymore, but I don't know if he wants to expand that if he's there. I don't know, or if he would want to. But all kinds of different options for him. So the world's opening up, and maybe that'll be a good thing overall. It's a sad day for Fox. It's kind of like, the Bud Light thing. It's like, wow, they're going to destroy their own brand. And their audience is dying. The demographics are not going in their favor. And if they think they're just going to bring back the old guard never Trumpers, it's not going to last long. So maybe this election cycle, and then they're done. So it's just a different Fox era now. Get rid of some of your older talent, and the Ailes era is over. So what are they going to do, and who's going to join them? I'm not.
Yeah, because because I don't think Tucker had anything to do with that Dominion suit. By the way, I'm pretty sure he wasn't named. Like nothing that he was putting out became any sort of key component to that lawsuit. What's your take on the BlackRock investment here? Because you start hearing more and more. It's like, well, yeah, BlackRock recently became an investor in Fox, and then they took money out of their left pocket and paid it to their right pocket because they also invest in Dominion. What's your take on any of that? What's your hunch on what's going on behind the scenes? If we're just prognosticating with no concrete evidence, I suppose. What are you hearing out there? What kind of thoughts are interesting? If they don't make sense, which ones are sounding interesting, worthy of more investigation?
I just think we're in the end game, and here is the establishment making its move, and they're going to solidify their propaganda networks. And that's I know somebody brought up the point that there's down to 5 or 6 news companies that run everything now. And so now, if you're going to really, put Fox in that and can control all your talent the way they do on the other side, MSNBC, CNN, then there's nowhere to get, alternative voices. It's all going to be, different, just slight variations of whatever the establishment talking points are out there. So that's a problem. And you don't have anybody to push. Think about no one's going to push back on Jan 6th or, the big pharma and the experimental jabs, Nord Stream pipeline. There's the UFOs. I mean, there's so many different things that Tucker will fearlessly go after any subject. Who's going to do that? Now we brought up Jesse Waters, who I think has a ton of potential and is a talented guy. But after seeing Tucker get cut, do you think that he's going to want to do the same thing, or is he going to back off? I don't know. That could have a chill effect on the rest of the talent. So it's time to jump ship, I would think. I mean, they're getting big enough money and getting enough exposure, and they can do enough as it is. But I think this is the beginning of the end for the Fox News Network.
In the comment section, Sally is saying that they love their big salaries like Hannity. Yeah, I think Hannity, I correct the number, but I believe it's in the 40, maybe $44 million a year, way more than Tucker was making. So if you think it was purely a cost-cutting move, just to, all right, you lost all that money. Well, you didn't lose it. You handed it over. You didn't even you didn't even wait for a verdict. You bent over and accepted it. It's such an awful decision. A lot of brilliant legal minds are completely baffled as to why they would settle a case that they could easily have won.
Yeah, but what if they win? If they win, then what? They're going to knock out Dominion, and that's going to unravel the establishment and prove that these problems that we thought that we saw on election night were actually confirmed. So they would actually be hurting themselves in a way if at the end of the day, they're protecting the establishment, and that would ruin everything. So it's better them to take the settlement, and then who knows how that gets filtered behind the scenes. Yeah, it's just like they took it just so that they could confirm it, and now nobody can speak out against it. Because now next 2024, if we see a bunch of suspicious stuff and mysterious vans and unmarked ballots and all kinds of just blatant shenanigans, they're going to say, no, it doesn't matter. Oh, it doesn't matter if they ring them through the scanners, 50 times, and then, shuttle them on a bus over, and there's no chain of custody, and they're being recounted several times over a week. It doesn't matter. Not because it's just like, hey, well, Fox said it's okay. They basically just, they ruined it. They jumped on the grenade. It's over. They just confirmed Dominion, gave them a bunch of money, and now it's going to be the establishment against the alternative. And this is the end of our civilization, I guess. But we are in for a major fight. So things just got very interesting with this Tucker Carlson move. It has got big repercussions and consequences that are going to come out of this.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, and yeah, that your point is well taken. But so what? I prefer paper ballots. You sue me because I prefer paper ballots, and I want 100 ballots per box, and I want entire rooms filled with the boxes, and I want them labeled and categorized, and I want to be able to check them.
Yeah.
Okay. Period. I don't give a shit what. I don't care what Fox and Dominion had to say to each other. I don't care what deal they cut or why. It doesn't matter. I still prefer paper ballots, and we should be able to have a quick and accurate head count of everything. If there's any source code, we should all have the source code. Audits should be available to everybody, and everything should be done under continuous 24/7 camera surveillance systems. Period.
Yeah, only once every 2 years.
That isn't a knock on Dominion. Like I don't care what Fox had to say. If you can't have a trustworthy voting system, it's not going to stop people from talking about it. In the comments here, Mike is saying Tucker's a multimillionaire. He could just fade away and fly fish. Yeah, I mean that's definitely something that he could do. He's done a few podcasts, and he he sounds like a person that's been through some shit. And he is, because he has. And if he wanted to peace out and just fly fish his days away, he's earned the right to. He doesn't owe anybody anything. Sally saying Tucker might do his own podcast, just like Megyn Kelly. Yeah, I mean that's the new thing. Like, people are following personalities; they're not following the networks anymore. It's a beautiful thing. Sally saying OAN offered him $25 million in San Diego, allegedly. Mike asking, this might be the white hats destroying legacy media. Well, I think legacy media is destroying themselves. To be blunt, yes, maybe there are some good people behind the scenes who are helping, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah, Tucker could end up in an administration. Could he get offered a position in the Trump administration, Blake? Could he run for president himself? Could he sign up as vice president? He's young. You might disagree with him, and yes, he's a smart ass, and yes, he'll like crack jokes at your expense, and he can be mean sometimes, just like Trump. But he's a measured human being. He's thoughtful. He's curious. He seems mostly intellectually honest, willing to have tough conversations. He could make a good vice president. What do you think? Do you think it's possible he could land in the political fray somehow, either as a presidential contender or somebody in a Trump administration cabinet?
I don't know why he would want to. That seems suspicious. It depends on what kind of position it would be, I guess. I don't know what anything that would that pay the kind of money that he would be accustomed to in the media, or that would give him as much influence and reach as something like that. So you're going to be very limited if you're just going to be in a cabinet somewhere by what you can do. But yeah, you never know.
And it would be a pay cut. It would be a huge pay cut when he could be making
and reaching more people.
What? I mean, what do you think he's worth on the open market?
It just depends. So when you have an audience like that.
But what if he took a cabinet position and he had a daily podcast as part of his cabinet position? Could you do both?
If there's some way they could work that in where it would make sense, then yeah, that could be, yeah.
What if he was the press secretary and he didn't have it in that room, and he just did it as a podcast, and he just take 5 minutes from each of you. It will spin a lottery ball, like a bingo box. And your number pops up. We take your questions, and this is our show for the day. Make sure that you, sponsored
like
by
a conflict
Pfizer.
Of interest. I don't know if that would fly or not, because they're supposed to be impartial.
Yeah, I mean, unlike everybody else who has a conflict of interest. Yeah, there's no impartiality. Like they're all hacks and lackeys.
Hacks and lackeys.
But anyway, yeah,
hacks and lackeys.
What was that phrase from? That was your Telegram.
That's one of my lists. I use that quite frequently. It's one of my bits.
Twitter list.
Hacks,
lacks, and what'd you call it?
And lackeys.
Hacks, flacks, and lackeys. David here is saying what it does is that it gives every major news outlet across the world the chance to say all these election fraud stuff. It was all nonsense. Didn't have a leg to stand on.
That's what they're saying. Yeah, it's so obvious. Why would they even try to do this? It's like, what? No, it's not obvious to anybody. Just make it obvious. Show us. So there's irrefutable proof, and we go, oh, okay, well, I think it sucks that we lost, but nothing we can do about it because it's black and white. You can't, there's no wiggle room here. But that's not what they do, and not at all. It's all,
See, even Fox News knew that was nonsense. That's why they settled. They knew they lost, so that you better not criticize. The company is literally called Dominion. It's like I will dominate every aspect of your life in their name. It's not, hey, we're a neutral party calling balls and strikes. We're just separating what you do. They are saying, no, we hold dominion over this process. That's creepy just in its word. Take people at their word, shall you? Um, no, I did not see his Heritage. No, I saw some of his Heritage Speech Foundation saying he wants to work with truthful people. And that Mike is saying that highest paid government salary, of course, if you're found. Yeah, he. I'm not at liberty. The law does not say that I have to disclose all of my residual payments from all the vaccines. So I'm not going to tell you how much I really made.
Yeah, well, it's 400 that he gets from the government, but anything else, yeah, I'm sure he's got sealed up.
Well, Mike says it well here. He says, of course, if you could become a Congress critter, you can become a millionaire on that $300,000 salary in just a couple of years. No, a couple of days. I love these trading tracker sites. Oh man, they're exposing all of this stuff. So, okay, well, let's do this, Blake. We've covered Tucker enough because it is the number one story, but there's other people trying to figure out where are these other people going to land, the Bonginos and the Don Lemons. Bongino leaving was a big deal. Like Bongino, he was an early investor. I believe he has an equity stake or a co-owner of Rumble, I believe. And that he's rocking an entire platform, and they're making deals with Crowder. They're bringing other talent in with some sort of equity share opportunities over there. So Bongino leaving was a big deal. I mean, he's such a distant third afterthought with Don Lemon in the mix as well. So let's start with Bongino. I mean, do you have any take on him leaving? Did you get caught up on that? I mean, it was very quiet compared to Tucker, number one in the industry, bounced.
Yeah, I mean, that's not as surprising. I think he just did like maybe a Saturday night show or something, so it wasn't a huge part of the program or anything. Then he was also brought in as a panelist certain times to debate against Democratic strategists or what have you as a guest. I don't know if that'll still be a part, probably not. But yeah, he's done his own thing with Rumble, and I expect him to just keep doing that. I don't know if he needs to do anything else, but it was good to have the exposure of doing just even a one weekend show on Fox. So yeah, I think he'll be fine. Won't be anything substantial there, I wouldn't think. He'll keep doing his thing, and he's also, pretty outspoken on social media and whatnot. And also wondering if Trump wasn't he going to start a media company? I don't know if that's came to be or not. They did Truth Social, but I thought at one point he was actually going to do like a network, but that hasn't come to fruition. Would take years, and I'm not sure. So we'll see. And then there's, I don't know if OAN and Newsmax, and they've been kind of purged off cable. I'm not sure if they're still around. So it's going to be a whole new landscape coming up.
So there was Trump Media and Technology Group, also known as T Media Tech LLC. It's an American media and technology company founded in 2021 by former U.S. President Donald Trump. In October 21, the company announced a merger agreement with Digital World Acquisition Corp. So there's that. Donald Trump is the founder and the chairman. Devin Nunes is the CEO. You might remember Devin Nunes. So yes, they are still doing their thing there. Truth Social, still sitting in the mix. I know Trump got verified, right, on Twitter.
Yeah, he just hasn't used it yet.
Brace yourselves. Winter is coming. I don't expect him to stay silent for long, but yeah, it's been interesting watching that. But so Bongino, we expect him staying equally involved in Rumble and continuing to do his show. Doesn't have to be affiliated with Fox. It wasn't a large percentage of his holdings, the content that he created, original content he created for Fox. So it won't take him out. But like Don Lemon was, really the poster child for someone who came into the league all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and had some nice things to say. I mean, the guy was I watched in the Wayback Machine. You look at early Don Lemon, and he's given advice on how to help particular communities succeed, and he sounded like a more I don't know, more young, more hip, more urban, more contemporary, more metrosexual, homosexual version of a Jordan Peterson. Like, hey, this is how you succeed as a culture, as a people, kind of giving good advice. And you're like, hey, this Don Lemon guy. All right, who's this guy? And you just watched him slide into the abyss over the years, turning into Gollum, just doing the bidding of the henchman behind the scenes at CNN. I mean, Blake, I guess we all saw the writing on the wall with Don Lemon, but I mean,
Yeah.
does it come as any surprise to you? What do you think he has any audience left? Where do you think he goes after this?
See, now that's a different one. He's going to be in trouble because I don't think anybody's going to want him. He needed basically, as Chris Cuomo kind of carried him, kind of held his hand through like half of his own show when he was still prime time on CNN, and then they moved him to mornings with the couple of the ladies, and he kept having trouble with them, and it was just he's a problematic. And then he had that lawsuit against him for sexually harassing that bartender in, I don't know, it was New York or something like that. So he's a liability, and he's really not that talented. He's a young, good-looking guy who can read a teleprompter and what have you. But at the end of the day,
an Obama clone, a young, moderately good-looking character who can read a teleprompter, nice smile, articulate. Other than that, it's a empty suit. The emperor has no clothes, just a train wreck after that. But the initial packaging was nice. They know how to package something, but it's the content of the person that matters, not the packaging. That we don't want to get that Malcolm or that Martin Luther King reference twisted. It's the content of the human being, not the packaging that matters. But
right. So if Don Lemon did his own podcast independently, would you tune in?
I don't really listen to any podcasts anyway. I don't even listen to mine.
Right.
By the way, subscribe to our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show. Please do that. Subscribe, youtube.com/The New American Media, and subscribe, rumble.com/The New American Media. Is that how that works? The New American Media on Rumble as well. At American_media_ on Twitter, and screw Facebook because they're terrible. And there's that. So would I listen to Don Lemon? I mean, it would be so funny for him to it would be so funny for him and Tucker to just team up and do like a crossfire. They're both instant free agents. Why not do a series? Why not just do a limited batch series of them chatting? I think that would be breaking the matrix, if you will. It would just be like, it would be the simulation winking at itself. It would just be beautiful to kind of bring it full circle and bring these two characters together. What say you, Blake?
I mean, I would tune in for it, I guess, just to see what it's all about. But no, it's hard for me to see any of these leftists actually kind of going off script and being having independent thought and going off the DNC talking points or the Media Matters points. So that's just how they roll, and that's how they keep their jobs, is to stay within that frame. So I don't know how he would handle himself without that structure around him. So I think he's in trouble. Whereas, Bongino can just tell it like it is, whether you like it or not. I can't see Lemon doing anything like that. That would make him appealing in any way. But what do I know? But yeah, it'd be cool. Tucker would have Don Lemon on his show, but there's no way that Don Lemon would ever allow, Tucker Carlson on his show. That's just how it works. So they know when they don't have, when they can't play, when they can't fight. So they just don't let them on the, let them, go after their talking points or to contradict them or any of that. No pushback, not even Maddow, none of them. So Lemon's in trouble. Oh well, he did it to himself, so I really don't care too much. He had a nice run. I hope he saved his money.
he made a bunch, right? I think
I'm sure. Yeah, after all those years, Must have got something.
Well,
But
some
I don't know if he's going to go to MSNBC, or I don't know if they would care. What does he bring?
He brings an ESG score.
Yeah, that's about it.
I mean, it brings a healthy ESG score. He crosses multiple boxes off the checkbox list. Right?
Yeah.
There are some people that care about such things.
You never know. Not many people are watching those networks anyway. So if they have a hole to fill, maybe they can use Lemon. But after all the problems that he had at CNN, why would they even take that chance if he's just another? That's like, why won't you bring Keith Olbermann? He's got plenty of smarts and talent, but he's totally off the rails, totally nuts. Nobody can work with him. So there's no reason to have him around. He's just absolutely toxic culture. So
well, I want to play this clip because some people are pointing to this as the final straw. I guess it was Dead Man Walking. We knew with Don Lemon that he was headed out, but some people are pointing to this Vivek Ramaswamy exchange as the final straw that broke the camel's back. I'm going to play this for you in case you haven't seen it. Here we go.
Do you have anything on this before we move on to China?
I don't see what one has to do with the other, but I took up a lot of time with Fox.
Oh, it's fine. We have time.
I don't really see what one has.
Blake, can you hear it on your side?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's the first time ever that I can hear it on my side and you can hear it on your side.
Excellent.
Usually one of us can't hear it. I don't know why that has been the case, but I'm glad that we can hear it now. All right, let me go back to it. Jeez, there we go. Where is it even? Hang on. Oh, great. Now, there we go. All right, from the top here.
All right.
Do you have anything on this before we China?
I don't see what one has to do with the other, but go on. I took up a lot of time with Fox.
Oh, it's fine. We have time.
I don't really see what one has to do with the other, especially consider and using the Civil War to talk about Black Americans. That war was not fought for Black people to have guns. That's not.
That war was fought for Black people to have freedoms in this country.
Yeah.
Actually, that's why the Civil War was fought.
Okay.
And the sad
that
part
wasn't
about
fought for Black people to have guns. I think.
Actually, you know, the funny fact is, Black people did not get to enjoy the other freedom. Amendment rights were secured. And I think that's one of the lessons that we
still
learned.
Aren't allowed to enjoy the freedoms.
I disagree with you on that, Don. I disagree with you. And I think you're doing a disservice to our country by failing to recognize the fact that we have equality before the law.
And you live in this country, then you can disagree with me. But we're not. You mentioned in here that we have three different shades
Don, I think we have to be able to talk about these issues in the open, regardless of the color of our skin. Black Americans today, to say that, compare that to 1865 and 1964,
I think you to compare it to 1865 and 1964 is actually, I think it's insulting.
That segment did go on a little bit more, and maybe one of the worst part. It cut off too soon. He starts virtue signaling about, don't tell me what I can, blah 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 about my experience as a Black man in America, and he turns on Vivek and says, "Yeah, and whatever race you are." Yeah, like I was trying to find the whole clip, and of course YouTube won't let you find the good ones, but. It's like his racial experience is super important. And then he just kind of waves his hand and says, yeah, and you and whatever race you are. It's like, ugh, yeah, so illustrative.
Yeah. And Don Lemon's been coddled. He's spoiled. He's arrogant. And now it's time for some humble pie. And we'll see if he ever bounces back.
Speaking of spottle, what did you say? Coddled, spoiled, and ignorant? Was that the phrase?
Arrogant, ignorant, fine.
Arrogant, ignorant.
Yeah.
Perfect. Then how about this? How about we come back and talk about one Joseph R. Biden, who announced, let's not bury the lead on today's show.
Yeah.
This meat suit is going for another round. He thinks he's earned your trust for 4 more years, everybody. 4 more years. Blake, do you agree or disagree that Joe Biden running for a second term is the Democrats' best option? Agree or disagree?
I'm going to disagree. But, well, maybe in their mind, yeah, because he's the perfect puppet. He can do whatever, run the agenda, sign anything they want, big rubber stamp. and he takes all the blame for everything that goes wrong, or right. So it's perfect for them. The empty suit to drive the agenda. Outside of that, no, I think it's terrible for everybody else, which should be like, I don't know, 95% of the population, you would think. In all reality, I don't think people realize just how bad things are with Biden, or how much worse they've gotten since Trump. So, but this can't be good. He doesn't know where he's at half the time. I think a lot of people thought he might step down because of his age, and he's declining, obviously. But now they're gonna try to run him again. So it's shocking, but yet here we're nothing. I guess nothing shocks me anymore. So why not just finish it up, throw it in our face, and we deserve it. So
could he mainly be running so that he doesn't get arrested? Is he trying to outrun this investigation into the business dealings of his entire family, the overthrow of Ukraine in 2013, 2014, the near nuclear third world war that we're on the brink of because of his shady business dealings over in Ukraine, being compromised allegedly by China? I mean, is it possible that he's doing what he's doing just to try to stay out of trouble? Because as long as you have Merrick Garland, you don't have any seriousness at the Department of Justice. You don't have anybody, no adults in the room.
Yeah, it's absolutely possible. I kind of figured that's the reason Hillary was running in 2016, because if all the truth came out about all the scandals going on under the Obama administration, of which he was a part of some, that definitely helps. You're the most powerful person in the country, and you select who's running the Justice Department. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's certainly in play. I don't know how cognizant he is of everything on day-to-day activities and whatnot, but just to have him in there certainly helps. Elections have never had more higher consequences than they do now. So good call on that. But you think they'd find somebody who was more put together, or maybe not, because he's also the perfect fall guy. He just does not care. He'll throw out anything they want him to.
He is the perfect fall guy. I think you could pretty easily at any point pull the ripcord, and you could watch him slip into very heavy dementia, and you could claim, he's just not in his right mind. He's not there. All of a sudden, then you'd find a couple of doctors who are willing to say the obvious, that boy just ain't, he ain't got it. That boy ain't right. Like it's what we've been saying for a really long time. But yeah, I mean, it's almost like he has a built-in get out of jail free card, a built-in whammy card, with the fact that he's off his rocker, that he's an old senile coot. Yes, compromised. Yes, dirty up to his eyeballs. Yes, the Ashley diary. Yes, the Hunter debauchery. Like it's a gross family. It is a really gross family.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wonder where do they go from here, Blake? They ran Gavin Newsom. Gavin went out and did a nationwide tour, just like Ron DeSanctimonious did. They were trying to put them out there. They floated their weather balloons, if you will, and they both flopped like the Hindenburg. They both kind of they flubbed. They were not met with a strong reaction or a strong response. The crowd was generally disinterested. A couple people giggled, somebody burped, and that was about the extent of it. So nothing really caught on. Do you think they're saving Gavin Newsom for the next time? Do you think what's going on with Gavin Newsom? Why isn't this his turn? Like Ronnie D thinks he's going to try to make it. And maybe, and I've been reading, did Ron say that he's not running? I read that a lot today. If he did say something, I missed it. I've read quite a few comments, but both of these people, Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom, were supposed to be the futures of the parties. And it seems like people said, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, I'm confused too. I would have thought, yeah, Gavin or Hakeem Jeffries maybe in Congress, or they've got to have,
Hakeem Olajuwon,
yeah, Hakeem Olajuwon, Haywood
Haywood
Jeffries,
Jeffries.
whatever. Yeah, I thought they would find something else, or leave maybe even. Well, they don't have a lot of. It's not a lot of time left, so they're gonna have to do something. And of
We're out of
course,
time.
they're worried about looks like Robert F. Kennedy running, and he's already announced he's a strong opponent. And in fact, that's one of our stories, I think, is
Yeah, well, we could pivot over to that.
yeah,
Here,
we can just combine them both.
Let's pivot. So, I mean, you're not going to make the decision to run this Weekend at Bernie's character again unless you have everything dialed in. To tell us about this, Blake, you got an article for this one, the DNC with the primary debates. I mean, you got to be kidding me with this stuff. Like, if I feel like Ashton Kutcher, every step of the way, is ready to just jump out from behind the scenes and, haha, you've been punked.
Yeah,
Cannot be real. They don't want to have debates in their primary with the
no.
least popular president we've ever seen. I mean, air quote.
Oh
Totally
yeah,
popular.
this
Yeah, makes
is
a lot of sense.
totally crazy. Oh, it looks like this
Passes the Joe Biden sniff test.
yeah, pretty much. Here you go.
He
Yeah,
likes to sniff.
Biden officially announces his 2024 campaign. As the question is whether in the years ahead we have more freedom or less freedom. I kind of think that with the Restrict Act and any other climate change thing or mandatory vaccines, I kind of think that we're probably going to have a lot less, especially if we go into digital currencies, that sort of thing. But, he'll say anything, his supporters will eat it up. But now they're afraid perhaps, oh, why are all my Epoch Times pages? So you've got RFK responding to the DNC's plan to skip the primary debates, saying that the system is indeed rigged. And that had one more article by RFK too.
We should get him. Let's get him on the show.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So he says he fired Tucker Carlson calling out Big Pharma and the deadly vaccines, which is one of the reasons that we like RFK so much. But they don't want him to debate Joe Biden. That would be their biggest fear. So there will be no primary debate. They've already announced no primary debates as the poll finds majority of Dems say Biden shouldn't even run again. And I know that was just brought up in the chat. My computer is going way too slow, saying 70% of Americans don't think Biden should seek a second term, including that's 51% of Democrats. And they probably don't even know that there's anybody that he's running against. So that's pretty sad. So these are the poll numbers. So it's insane that they would announce that they're not doing any debates. The Democratic Party said it will support Biden's reelection, has no plans to sponsor primary debates, according to the Washington Post. Robert F. Kennedy announced he's running against President Biden last week and immediately garnered 14% support among Biden voters. So just that one announcement, 1 week, already has 14%. People are looking for an alternative to Biden, and they know that Kamala is not up for it. Hakeem Jeffries is not ready. We're not sure what's going on with Gavin, but we do know that Kennedy represents a major threat. And now they've already come out. I mean, it's just cartoonishly ridiculous that they are going to say, oh, there's no debates. Why? Don't people in your party deserve to hear multiple points of view? But no, that's the thing. They want to keep everything, tightly, into one narrative. And Joe Biden is their guy. And they're going to just let him, campaign from the basement. It doesn't matter. Because they don't need debates. They don't need them to go out and campaign, make stump speeches, any of that stuff. It's far easier for them to just harvest ballots wherever they need to, keep the battlegrounds local, online. They control that election. They don't have to worry about, people showing up on that day. They can keep RFK away. They don't have to expose him to the people. You're not going to have a Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson had, Kennedy on his show. um, a couple of times. He has Greenwald on. He has these different people with different points of view, people on the left side. So it's good to keep that conversation, but that's not going to happen now. So you're probably not going to hear much from Kennedy. He's not going to have a platform. You're not going to see him on Fox. You're not going to see him on the MSNBC. I doubt. So they're just gonna ram Biden down everybody's throat, and they love the way things are set up right now with Biden in control.
Wait, were you referencing the Ashley Biden diary or something else?
Yeah, they're not going to cover that.
Too soon?
Cover anything.
Too soon?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
In
the comments here, Mike is saying Robert Kennedy's issue is he supports the Nazis' Ukraine war with Russia. Dreamer Ultra saying that's a bit shocking, and it tells me they do not plan on losing this under any circumstances. It's kind of like what you were saying, Blake. Look at Hobbs. People laughed when she didn't participate in debates, and she was installed the winner.
Yeah, she's down by 11 points. Secretary of State, running her own election, running those ballots back and forth to run back. All the machines stopped working in the Republican districts. They deliberately put those machines on, or they're was a 19-inch, 20-inch. They couldn't read the forms. They threw it in a different box. And it dragged out like an extra 2 weeks. Like just everything about that was awful. Nobody wants to go through that again.
Like this is still in court, right? These are still complaints. Like it's still dragging out. It's not resolved.
No,
because there's not an easy apparatus that allows for a clear recount, for checks and balances, somebody from each party to be there to have everything recorded, 1,000 ballots in each of these bankers boxes, 1,000 ballots exactly. And you fill them in a banker's box. You put banker's box 1, banker's box 750, banker's box 2,000, however many banker's box it takes, but you keep it on camera. You keep it above board. People sign the box in, they sign the box out. They have preliminary counts. They have subsequent counts. You could easily break this up if you had paper ballots. Like that's what's needed. You need to be able to audit this stuff in real time. But yeah, let's go ahead and get Robert Kennedy on the show. I can't say I'm incredibly familiar with him, but that's fine. I had Buddy Roemer. What was he? Former Louisiana governor. He was running in the 20 was it 12? 2012 or 20? It must have been the 2012 election. We had Buddy Roemer on. We had Gary Johnson on. I didn't know all that much about Gary Johnson. I mean, I knew he was, former governor of New Mexico and whatnot. But yeah, let's get this Kennedy character on. If people are saying that he doesn't have a right to do a debate, then we'll talk right here because that's nonsense.
So I heard a lot of good things. Mike is saying, he may be supporting with the Azov battalion. And there's some issues perhaps with the climate change stuff. Yeah, it's definitely some things I'd like to clear up. But he is saying the right things about against the Federal Reserve and against the digital currencies, and as well as pushing back on big pharma. So there's stuff to work with. So it'll be interesting. But he's far light years better than Biden, and gives the Democrats an alternative, and they deserve to have other voices. So I can't imagine where I know the Republicans had like 17 candidates in 2016. I think the Democrats also had 27 or 17 in 2020. I'm not sure. They had a huge field. And I thought, I think it was 17. And I thought Biden was probably like, 13th or 14th best. He still won. But I mean, what happens if they have that many candidates and the DNC is just going to say, nope, you can't hear any other voices. It's just going to be Biden. They're doing the coronation thing. I mean, they were pissed when Bernie ran in 2016 because they just wanted to coronate Hillary at the DNC, call it a day, makes it easier. Nobody wants to get the primaries. But now you see how badly it's controlled. Or imagine if the RNC said something like that. Let's say Ronnie D did run. I mean, whether we're mad or not, I mean, we deserve to see the debate between Trump and DeSantis or whoever's running. But I can't imagine them saying, no, we're not going to do it. We're just going to have Ron talk. Or I don't know if he would even get back on Trump if they were just going to select one candidate. But that shouldn't be the way. They should not be allowed to do that. And I can't believe people would be okay with that. I don't know, but the left has just turned into a full-blown cult. So they're going to go along with the popular majority no matter what. They have no balls there. They know.
Show me a room where Joe Biden is a popular, would you say a popular majority?
Yeah.
Where is this guy popular anywhere?
Amongst his own party somewhere? Yeah, I don't know.
Is he?
Probably not. They laugh at him. No, I doubt it. Nobody wants to sit and hang out with Biden when they're at those dinners or those little get-togethers. Like, he just gets left sitting there.
Could you imagine anything creepier? Ugh. All right. Well, look, then I guess it's our job. We're going to have to bring in some of the challengers. We want to talk to them here on the Agree to Disagree show, where all opinions are valid. Some are better than others, of course, but all are valid. We can talk about them. So, all right. Well, there we go. We're getting the Trump Biden rematch we were all anticipating. It's pretty inevitable. No, it's not here yet, but I mean, let's just read the writing on the wall. The Democrats are going to pull every stunt, including getting rid of debates, in order to help squeeze Biden, drag him across the finish line. And nobody's even coming close to Donald Trump in these fake, these nonsensical district attorney charges, these indictments from Alvin Bragg. They just seem more laughable the more distance you put between the event of him being charged and then just kind of really doing additional research on what are we even talking about here. It's absurd. So it seems like we're on a collision course with the rematch. So it's like a Rocky. Were you a Rocky fan of the series?
Yeah, I saw the first 4. I think that's about it.
It's the rematch. It's the boxing rematch.
I haven't seen the remakes, which do look good, but I just haven't had time for them. You?
The Creed ones.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a lot of years, but yeah, I mean, it's just the universal concept of having the rematch. The rematch is where it's at. Right. There've been so many classic rematches over the years. I know my different sport, but my Cleveland Cavaliers had 4 straight championship appearances against the Golden State Warriors. If Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love didn't get injured in 2015, we likely win that series. But then we won in 2016. Then they brought in Kevin Durant to join their team and won the next 2 titles. But yeah, we had back to back to back to back. So that was rematch to rematch to rematch. So yeah, we'll see about that. But yeah, it appears to be a rematch time. It appears to be, we're going to get what we want. We're going to get a do-over. But then again, if it doesn't matter who votes, it just matters who counts the votes. And I don't know if enough has been done to really put extra cameras on all of our ballots to make the recount process smooth and understandable. I don't know that the powers that be want an election that can be determined in an easily identifiable and verifiable way. If there's something holding all omnipotent power above you, and they keep secret codes and algorithms and computational processes, if they keep all that information private and you don't even know how to open up the hood of your car and figure out why something's not working. I mean, yeah, I mean, it does feel a little daunting. It does kind of feel like, what's the hope? What's the point? We're just going to go through this again. I mean, there was no energy for that Joe Biden campaign. Zero. None. Like you said, he hid in his basement. This is not how you win, but somehow it happened. It's, I just hope we don't end up going through this again, like just doing a repeat.
Oh, we will.
And I know, oh God, Blake, you think it's a done deal?
Well, it's not like the Democrats are going to say, hey, listen, we're going to make it fair. We know we won, and we're going to just go to paper ballots. You can audit them all you want, Republicans. We got nothing to hide. You can bring in all the people, the poll watchers. Come look at our signatures. Let's make it for the future of the country. Let's get this one right. No. They're going to do the same thing, stuffing ballots, getting dead people to vote, getting nursing home people to vote. They're gonna work everything, milk those boxes. and there's going to be no watchers, no nothing, no transparency, no signature watch or matching. It's going to be the same things, stopping counting. It's just there's no, and it sucks because I wouldn't care about the results if I could believe in them, but that's not the way it is. So they've made their move, and they're going to keep playing the same playbook. There's no reason to believe otherwise. So if this one doesn't work out and we're not able to accept the results, then this could lead to a national divorce or something, or civil war. I don't know, but
I mean, we're being steered into a potential nuclear third world war. There are legitimate repercussions to forfeiting who you allow into that office, and all the policies and they make, and the people that they put in place, and the things that they ignore, and the things that they fabricate. I mean, it's really dark times right now. Trying to make sense of where we go as a nation when, and I've asked this question a lot of times on the program, Blake. Name me one area where America is doing better under Joe Biden or Barack Obama's leadership for Obama's third term here. Anywhere from inflation to border security to geopolitics to
did they
clean air,
lower
clean
the cost of insulin or something for diabetics? I don't know.
Was he right to take any credit for that? Was that
any idea?
Yeah, I know that was like a nice talking point, but wasn't that already in place? There's something off about that story too.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there, there's a twist to that.
Insulin aside,
and even then, okay, outside of the extreme, diabetics that are on a budget, who else is being affected?
Yeah, the globe is being affected. There's a massive vacuum in leadership. And by the way, we didn't even cover Sudan. Sudan's a story that we need to cover. Has that been on your radar, Blake?
I have been off. No, I don't know anything about what's the latest in the Sudanese culture. Is it Sudanese? I have no idea. I don't know.
Is that how we pronounce that?
It's all news to me. I've been off for the weekend.
Okay. Well, it appears as though what's going on in Sudan is roughly the same exact thing that was happening in Afghanistan. The situation has been deteriorating, and you have been able to see people calling for attention on this issue, trying to pull us out before things got too bad, before we were overrun. Let me go ahead and pull this up real quick because we're about to enter the lightning round.
Yeah.
I guess here we go. Just scroll through some of the latest updates regarding Sudan. The red-headed libertarian, don't let the salacious removals of Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon distract you from the fact that Joe Biden quietly submitted a war powers resolution yesterday, which puts American boots on the ground in Djibouti, Ethiopia, and Sudan for an indefinite amount of time. Sudan is currently undergoing an evacuation as war and fighting has broken out. The WHO is now concerned about the biolabs that the fighters have apparently taken control of. Oh, here we go with the biolabs again. The fucking biolabs.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They are on repeat with their stories. WHO declares biohazard risk in Sudan after a biolab seized by the military. Why would there be biolabs in Sudan? Was the big guy's son wheeling and dealing in Sudan as well? Never mind, that could make me a conspiracy theorist. Come on, carry on, okay? But it's appearing as though we're going to leave a lot of people behind, and this area is about to get overrun. Nick Sorter, the WHO says extremely serious situation and a huge biological risk as Sudan rebels take control of the lab containing various virus samples. Are they just going to release a second virus on us, Blake? Is that really what we're headed up to? Are you seeing the writing on the wall here? Yeah, Charlie Kirk. Why was anybody building dangerous biolabs in Sudan? Go ahead.
Yeah, because more scrutiny and regulation in America, so it's a lot easier to do your dirty business in a country where they don't have the same rules. No. Why
Make sure
wouldn't
you're
they?
following Blake on Twitter. He's at TV's Blake Walley, Walley. Make sure you're following us at American_media_. Okay, so there's polio, cholera, and measles in this Sudanese biolaboratory. That's awesome. Huge biological risk. Daily Caller reporter Dylan Hausman praising State Department spokesman on pressing the spokesman on individuals stranded in Sudan. Here, let's hear this exchange, shall we?
Saturday night on how
Let me refresh this.
Yeah, just said earlier about it not being standard procedure to have a government-run evacuation in these kind of situations, but it is something that's happened before in certain cases. So is the reason it's not happening in this case purely security reasons, purely that it's not deemed safe and possible to do so? Or
that of course, is one of the many factors weighing into this, Dylan. You saw Undersecretary Bass speak about this on Saturday night on how the very fraught and delicate security environment makes travel via overland routes as well as travel through the air incredibly. And even the operation that our service members conducted on Saturday to evacuate our personnel was also something that was a high-risk situation. And so this was an assessment that was made based on the delicate and fragile security circumstances on the ground. You saw Jake Sullivan speak to this. But the important thing is that we are going to continue to be engaged with American citizens in the region who are seeking
Many
advice,
are left
who
there
are
right now,
seeking how to seek safety, and who may be seeking to depart the country as well.
Just a quick follow-up.
Sure.
So there have been a handful of countries, Germany, France, Italy, Japan, that have airlifted civilians out of the country, that have carried out these kind of operations that the U.S. is not necessarily planning to do. So why is it the case that those countries are able?
Great question.
Each country is going to make its own sovereign decision based on their own interpretation of the security apparatus ground.
So Blake, I mean, we have a developing situation in Sudan. It really is Afghanistan part two. It just makes you wonder, what is the Biden the Obama? Sorry, I keep saying Biden. What is the Obama initiative to turn these bases and these weapons over in Africa, in the Middle East? That they're leaving a lot of Americans stranded behind, making the conscious decision not to help. This is not an accident. This is a pattern.
We've been taken over. I don't know. I believe it. It was a coup that happened, and we've got the wrong people running the country right now, and that they don't care. They had the botched Afghan withdrawal, or was it botched? And they're doing the same thing here. Doesn't surprise me. A lot of the weapons that we've been giving to Ukraine are being sold on the black market. No one's following that. Nobody's auditing any of that. So meanwhile, they're trying to, confiscate guns here. They want to take them away from Americans. They'll give them out to Ukraine or Mexican drug lords. They don't care what happens to them then. But it's pretty sad. And I don't know. This isn't how the country is supposed to be. But it's like they've just taken our standards down. Just little by little, and here we are, and it's more of the same, and I don't know when people are going to get it and wake up. So,
by the way, where's the Nashville Manifesto? Okay, moving on. Final topic here. We're going to get you out on time, Blake. That's my promise for today. One last topic in the queue.
Yeah.
So, speaking of guns, though you're saying there, Blake, would you agree or disagree that it's a good idea to buy guns and not commit atrocities with them, and that Americans shouldn't arm up to defend men's right to use women's restrooms? This one's a little clunky, so you're gonna have to walk me through this story and tell me what's what. I got lost in trying to piece it together.
Okay, yeah, I think we're mixing up a couple of stories. So why don't I?
That's my bad. I think.
No worries, man. Okay.
Hey, but you know what? Let's give a kudos and a cheers to the fact that we really have settled into a good rhythm here. Like we kind of have, we got it kind of figured out how we're going to do our shows. So okay, yeah. Louisville. All right, the Louisville shooter.
Yeah, good stuff. This is half of it. So the Louisville shooter, he killed 5 to get firearms banned. So, U.S. is apparently in such a state of degeneracy that anti-gun radicals are buying guns to shoot people That way they make the case for banning firearms. So allegedly this guy in Louisville, Kentucky, April 10th, admitted that his motivation was to further the left's gun control agenda. So it's like, here, look what I can do. Oh, these guns are terrible. Well, let me go buy one, shoot 5 of my coworkers, and then use that as an excuse. But his family said that he was having a lot of mental health issues. Made a 13-page manifesto. They're going to have to basically cut open his skull and study his brain because they think he had that concussion issue, I think CTE. So,
chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
Yeah, there you go. So that's pretty scary stuff. And then we'll combine that as a trans activist that says people must arm up to fight anyone who stops men from entering women's bathrooms. So imagine, well, this man here, I don't know, biological male. I'm not judging. I don't even care. This person can go live their life, do what they want. But he's trying.
But this person wants to go in your daughter's bathroom, and he will shoot you if you get in the way, is what he's saying.
Yeah, or if another man, let's say his buddy who looks like him, wants to, use the bathroom, and a concerned father is standing and saying, "Hey, my little girl is in the restroom. Do you mind, waiting your turn?" I wouldn't want a man like this in the women's restroom with my wife and daughter. Not that I'm saying that something's going to happen, but it's just not appropriate at all. That would be concerning for people, but then he's, I guess, offended by it. So he's speaking. Let me know if you can hear this. Can you hear that? Did you hear that, Brian?
No.
Okay.
I'll see if I can on the stream though.
Yeah, I can try another. Well, maybe not.
Hang on. I'll tell you if I can hear it on the stream.
All right.
Well, we're a little bit behind. I assume it'll work. Just press play. No, I caught up on the feed, and we cannot hear it when you play it.
Okay, well, he just says, I'll just read the quote. It's not that important. People can go find this. It's under Charlie Kirk's tweet, or you can go to the Natural News website. But the biological man telling trans people to arm up issues a violent threat to anyone who tries to block him from the women's restroom, saying, "I dare you to try and stop me from going into a women's bathroom. It will be the last mistake you ever make." So he says, if you think you're going to protect your kids, and meanwhile him and his buddy are going to, stand up to pee in the women's bathroom, it's something very, very wrong with that. And even if it's a complicated issue, but now they're going very violent, getting a bit uppity, and they're not fighting the right battle. They should at least respect that. And no one's cares if the dude's trans or what have you. But they would feel uncomfortable having a man like this in a bathroom with your loved ones. And that should be okay. That should be understandable. And instead of, respecting that, this guy's basically, trying to convince other people to go get guns, learn how to use it. And, don't take any shit from these, fathers that have an issue. So that's pretty.
Release the Nashville Manifesto.
Right.
Release it. Release it. Tell us what you're doing to these people. You are riling this whole group up like you did to BLM in 2020. You want chaos. You guys are just like, the people that are behind this are so disgusting that are just trying to cause. You're going to see. You're going to see this dude hanging out in the clearance section in a Kohl's, kind of going like this, just waiting, just watching and scanning, trying to find someone walking their daughter into a bathroom, and they're going to make a beeline for it to try to jump into a situation. This person is looking for trouble. People claimed the same thing about Kyle Rittenhouse. Remember, he had no business being there. He was only there looking for trouble, right? You remember, right? You heard that argument
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah, that's exactly how this is going to play out. I could definitely see this guy in the food court, just waiting, kind of pretending they're scrolling their phone, and as soon as a dad walks their daughter, and they're going to run into the bathroom. Aha! Here I am, ready to pee. Like strapped and waiting to prove a point. These people are there's an illness. The Louisville guy is mentally ill. And thankfully he's dead. The Nashville shooter. All right, let's read your manifesto. You're anti-Christian, anti-heterosexual. What do you say? Average, normal, human? Like your hatred for just standard society has led you to murder? Like that's demonic. We have to be able to address this. So release the Nashville manifesto immediately. And yeah, I mean, this has this person been arrested? Has this person been interrogated yet? Has anything happened to this person who's threatening what they're threatening? Because it seems obvious they've got their death wish. As this person rambles, you hear that they want to prove a point, and it would be worth me He says something like it'd be worth me losing my freedom or losing my life in order to defend your lives or something. It's like, bro, nobody asked you to be Superman. It's Super Woe Man. Okay, fine. Nobody asked you to be Super Woe Man, but like they're trying to deputize themselves as like literal social justice warriors. And I take this back, and I blame the teachers unions, and I blame the lying legacy media for this, Blake. I mean, they're the ones who have been really pushing this stuff incessantly, and the Democrat Party nonstop, in conjunction, all three of them together.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like they're fighting for civil rights again, but it's not fighting for civil rights. It's not fighting for, black people to eat at the same restaurants as white people or to sit wherever they want on the bus. Like there was a lot of serious issues. We had to come a long way to fix that for the good of society. Now they're just making shit up. So it's not like these people are actually discriminated against. But it's
literally genocide.
Yeah, well, now they're making an issue like, oh, you get armed, so you don't want to go into a public bath, the wrong bathroom, or which some people would just be weird about.
ESPN,
right?
Remember, ESPN fired Kurt Schilling because he had a meme about a man going into a ladies' restroom. They fired him. ABC, ESPN, Disney.
It'd be for the same thing. Yeah, exactly that. If you're a father and you don't want, I don't have an issue with that. Yeah, go ahead, do your own thing, do whatever. But if you look suspicious and you're around my loved ones when they're vulnerable, that might be an issue. And people have a right to be concerned about that. That is not a reason to call for arms and potentially violence to push a cause that people aren't going to understand. And for what?
No. It's like you and I said, you and I are, we're fairly libertarian. I used to work at a bar that had a drag night. They dressed as ladies. These guys did, and they had their good time, and they played their music. And I didn't involve myself in that scene very much. I just, I worked. There was a split bar, and I would work downstairs those nights. I'd work upstairs other nights, and fairly libertarian. People do what you're going to do, but once again, it's what we said last week. If I had a contractor come into my house and say, all right, well, your house that was built in 1956 or whatever, it's identifying as a different kind of house. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rip out the heating, the venting, the air conditioning, and the plumbing. Yes, I know it used to work just fine, but I'm going to take it out. I'm going to mangle it. I'm going to make sure that it doesn't connect to those things anymore. So you're not going to feel the heat, the warmth, or the cool chill, the relaxed cool chill of air conditioning. You're not going to feel anything. And then your stuff isn't really going to work. Like the plumbing isn't going to go to the same spots. It's not going to, and you have to now clean your system twice a day. Like they're literally trying to slice penises of little boys, fillet them like a overcooked microwaved hot dog, and split them inside out and tuck them inside to form some sort of a crevice that doesn't give you pleasure. and you can't really pee the same way, and so all your plumbing is redirected, and you can get something could be inserted into you, but you won't feel pleasure. But this is going to make you feel more whole. And if you don't allow us to do this, you are literally committing genocide against us. I'm sorry. This is the dumbest, worst argument I've ever heard. If you decide to do something like this to your house when you're 18, it's your house, your rules, man. But you don't come after kids. You don't come after kids and try to get them or get their parents they sign up and they're super excited to get you in this thing. And all the medical profession is super excited because of discrimination, and they can't deny you your gender affirming care is what they want to call it. And there's money in this. People are pushing this and it's damaging kids. Like, that's where the line was drawn. Nobody cared about Klinger on MASH in the 70s. Nobody cared about Mrs. Doubtfire in the 90s. Nobody cared about RuPaul in the 2000s. Nobody cared. Everybody did their thing, and it was just whatever. Rocky Horror Picture Show. Hey, you just did your thing. Fine. But when you're slicing little hot dogs and twisting them and folding them inside out and carving out a gross hole that gets it like you have to clean it multiple times a day and like go up inside the kangaroo pouch and just like swab it and clean it, and it will seal up. It's like a bad ear piercing. This is not like I'm gonna put on a blue shirt today instead of this Hunter green shirt. Hey, where's Hunter, by the way? It's not like changing a t-shirt. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna wear high heels today, or I'm gonna wear boots today. I'm gonna wear a pretty pink hat, or I'm gonna wear a cowboy hat. Like, okay, you can easily undo those things. But if you're an impressionable 7-year-old and you've kind of been coaxed by people in the Skittles mafia to like, no, you really can, you can use they, them pronouns. It's the rainbow. It's like unicorns. Like, you got to join us. Join us. Join us. Join us. And it gets really wonky, dude. You got people really trying to push to convert people. And it's a line in the sand where parents have identified that there's a group of people that are coming after their kids, and it's become a major issue. It's become a major issue. I don't know how we got to this point. I guess it was when they started coming after kids and they became obsessed with the kids. You know, it's not just who you are. It's a very sexualized component of who you are that, you know, you're supposed to keep that stuff, you know, use some tact and some discretion. You keep that stuff behind closed doors. Libertarian, you do your thing, I'll do mine. Just, you know, you don't force it down other people's throats, literally, or like Ashley Biden. So it's just something that our society has to come to grips with. There is no gray area in the middle, Blake. No area in the middle. So, okay. Final thoughts on today's shows. We're going to let you get going a couple minutes early. Give us a plug on where to find you. Any final thoughts of wisdom on this topic or anything else we discussed, or a final story that was sitting on your stack that we didn't get a chance to go through in the lightning round?
Yeah. If I forgot to bring it up, we'll do just a real quick note here. I got about 2 minutes, and actually, I did make a.
Good. And please note that I wrapped up early as I was supposed to.
You did.
You put the onus on me today.
You did.
And I did.
Fantastic. Here we go.
Thanks.
Okay. Treason for the 51 Intel leaders confirming Hunter's laptop as Russian disinformation. That's basically according to a quote from President Trump.
Agree.
So, all right. Yeah, me too.
More election collusion.
Yeah, this is a cool article. I will have to post this onto Twitter. Here's all the 51 professionals that came out to confirm, and that is election fraud right there. That was a bombshell October surprise that could have changed the election, and then all of these people came out combined, and that is treason, boys and girls, as far as I am concerned. So, yeah, full court press to protect the establishment candidate, Joe Biden. And yeah, it's time to face some consequences for that. If we can ever get power back, I don't know. So,
You had that treason line pulled up, man. You already had that in the captions. Well done.
Yeah,
If you type that really
figured it
fast.
out.
Nice.
Yeah, good call.
So I'll agree. Yes, that's absolutely treasonous to overthrow the United States like that. And that's definite election interference and collusion. Hands down.
All right.
Easily identifiable.
Me too, Brian.
All right, Blake, where do people find you, sir?
TV's Blake Walley on Twitter and thenextlevelnews.com, where I will begin archiving again after some time off. So thank you, everybody. It's good. We got some new faces in here too, Sally and Mike, along with Jane and Big Cat and David Lopan. And good to see all.
We'd like to thank all the feds who have recently been assigned our project. We appreciate you being here. Yeah, by the way, I've been doing shorts on YouTube, and I usually get a quick 1,800 views and then it levels off. But it's like, we toil over the news for an entire week. We knock out a 2-hour show. We upload it, do all this stuff. We'll get 30 views. I do a quick short for 30 seconds and get 1,800 views in like a couple minutes. And you go, well, this is just a weird algorithm.
Yeah.
But yes, we appreciate all of you being here. Blake, you take off. Get to where you're going early, sir. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Take care. See you next time. Well,
there it goes, everybody. TV's Blake Walley. Make sure that you're following him. But yeah, it's definitely been it's been a heck of a ride. Working in independent media, watching the old guard fall apart. I think it's very overdue. It's a glorious time to be alive. So make sure you're following the new American media. Maybe it's all one word on Rumble. I think it makes a difference. We tried to search it with 2 words and you couldn't find it. So you needed 2 words. I don't know. Just find us on Rumble, at American_media_ on Twitter. That's another good place for us. In the podcast world, Spotify, the Agree to Disagree show. Sally is saying, get Derek Johnson. Derek Johnson. Who's Derek Johnson? Did he play shortstop for the Yankees? Or was he that blues guitar player? I actually don't recall. I'm not entirely familiar with who Derek Johnson is. Mike is saying it's the P agenda of the LG alphabet narrative. Yeah, Florida has now moved to make CA a crime that is punishable by the death sentence. Amen. This should be nationwide. There's nobody that should be more protected. There's nobody that should be more protected than kids. Well, that was weird. I just got an interesting alert on my computer. Maybe they didn't like what we were talking about. Is that how this works? Yeah, but Florida changed their laws. So, Jane asking, do you guys have any thoughts on why so many trans Ned all of a sudden transitioned? So many trans need all of a sudden. I mean, look, like I was trying to find this, and if you can find it, please tag us. Put it out on Twitter at American_media_. I'm trying to find. I ran a search yesterday and I couldn't find it. Trying to find the media mentions of the word trans. I believe the resurgence came around roughly around 2013. And it's continued ever since. And we're now at this ridiculous fever pitch, I suppose. Yeah. What was happening around 2012, 2013? If you can think back to when this suddenly became an issue that everybody had to talk about nonstop. Maybe, I don't know, maybe something in the political world. I'm not sure. Let's see. Also here, Mike saying most of the talking about these mass shootings. Yeah. There have been projects, MK Ultra being one, and there's several others. But they're saying, I was reading a report. I don't have the numbers in front of me, so forgive me. I'm just paraphrasing, but it was like the Nashville shooter had 5 cell phones, 5 laptops, 5 this, 5 that, or 7 of these and 8 of those. I'm forgetting exactly, but it was like, who was in this person's ear, convincing them to do what they did, guiding them, steering them, coaching them, training them? To what benefit? Where does this become a good idea? I don't know. Anyway, Derek Johnson. Well, if you're not going to tell me who Derek Johnson is, I'm going to have to take a look. Let's see. DEREKJOHNSON. American musician. Okay, I mean, Derek Johnson Country. That can't be who you're talking about, though. Maybe I'll get a country artist on as a guest. Okay, well, I'm going to take off for now, everybody. And I just want to thank you for participating in the new American media, because the old American media has failed. It is quite the time to be alive, watching all the cards shuffled. The deck of cards is moving around and players are moving. And I think it's time that we solidify ourselves as a place that if you tune in, you're going to get a decent, quick interview of, you're going to get some of the most important highlights of the day. We're trying not to drag on and on about it, and just kind of give you the most important stuff. And we like reading your opinions. Thank you, Dreamer Ultra, saying you had a good show. Appreciate you participating in this. Because reading your comments is one of my favorite parts of the show. It's one of the reasons why I like to stay a little bit after and make sure I scroll through and try to get to some of these other comments, because there's a lot to consider and nobody knows everything. And I'm still trying to figure out who Derek Johnson is, if he's not that country music artist, but I digress. But the new American media is here because the old American media failed. So thank you for following today's show. I'm signing out. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk again soon. Take care.